welcome to Conversations with CardFlight. I'm Derek Webster and joined today by Julie Pukas, who's the head of commercial product integration at TD Bank. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you here. Could we start by maybe having you share more about TD Bank and your role within it?
Sure. I love my job today. So I have dual responsibility. I manage the U.S. merchant acquiring business for TD, but I also have a broad set of accountabilities in our commercial bank. So as we're going to market with our larger customers, I'm thinking about what is the end-to-end customer experience, both from an employee as well as a customer perspective. So as we think about payments in particular, really bringing consumer payments and B2B business, B2B payments, kind of stitching all of that together for our customers. So it's very exciting.
Excellent. I'm sure we're going to talk lots more about all those things, but let's start maybe by diving a little more on you, the person.
Yeah,
Can you
absolutely.
talk about how your career and how it's evolved to the role you've been in today, and how you got started in this industry?
You want me to go way back, don't you? So interesting enough, I actually my first job in banking was actually at an ATM network. And I got involved in payments because at that point in time, we were actually launching point of sale acceptance of ATM cards. So if you think about
the original debit networks, or
the original debit networks, and really getting consumers used to using their ATM card to make payments, and that was really my foray into payments. And then from there, I got into merchant acquiring. And as I think about what's been exciting about my career in payments in particular, it really has touched everything. I've touched small businesses up to large corporate multinationals, but I've also run a payment network and run a card issuing business. So I think what I talk to people about is really kind of understanding everybody's perspective. Yep. So I always try to get people not to talk past each other. Like, let's really understand what is the other kind of side of the transaction, what's really going on, and that's what I think is exciting about what I've been able to do.
In TD, obviously a major merchant acquirer, but also a major card issuer.
Absolutely.
Could you share more about kind of the opportunities or challenges that come with having scope on both sides of the payments landscape?
I think for me, I try to always look at things as opportunities. And what I really always try to bring to the table is what I just mentioned a few minutes ago, is what is happening on the other side of the transaction. This really becomes interesting when, for example, on the card side, we're interested in launching potentially chip cards, right? Or tap and go cards. I'm able to bring to that conversation, both with our business people as well as our technology people, okay, let's step back and let's think about what's the implication to the merchant. Is this really going to take off as quickly as we think it's going to be? Or as a card issuer, are there things that, one, we can help the consumer do, but also are there things as an issuer we need to think about what's the implication from a merchant perspective? If you go into a merchant and they don't, the person behind the checkout doesn't know what to do with that newfangled card, that can cause problems to our card issuing business. So having that kind of fulsome view of both what happens on the card side as well as the merchant side, I think is unique, but it really allows people to think differently about going to market, both on the market as the merchant as well as the card issuing side.
So there's a common refrain about how our industry is changing at a faster and faster pace each and every day. I guess what are some of the specific ways you've seen it change the most over the past maybe like 3 to 5 years?
I think a lot of it is the ubiquitousness of payments. And that, I think, is a benefit, but it also brings about challenges as well to us in the industry, and particularly in the card issuing side. As payments become further and further embedded into that kind of payment experience and less visible to the consumer, that has direct implications to how do card issuers think about the business. So I think that's one thing. I think Omni in particular, omni-channel, we talk a lot about Omni, but how do we service our customers end to end, I think is the other thing, and how does that impact how we think about payments. And I think also we're starting to see a need for more transparency on the acquiring side around pricing, and I think that's going to benefit everybody. Those are some of the big things that I've seen change over the last few years.
Any predictions you want to make about how the industry is going to change over the next 3 to 5 years?
I wish I could, but I do think it's just that continuation. And I do think understanding the opportunities that we, for example, as a bank, have to partner with new players, and I think really thinking about software as a service, where does the software come into how we think about going to market, All of those are just new ways that we have to think about our business model and how we're going to market.
And so you're a bank-owned merchant acquirer, which is a model that's become less common as the acquiring industry has grown and evolved. Could you share more about the opportunities and challenges that come with that?
Yeah. I'll just touch on a few challenges, which is not going to be kind of news to everybody. It's, highly regulated. We tend to, have a lot more checks and balances. Things may take longer than all of us, both internally as well as we work with partners. It takes longer than we would like to get certain things done. But the real opportunity is the fact that if we can work with a customer from the very beginning of them establishing their business and becoming their partner, not only from an acquiring perspective, but for example, from a credit perspective, and really help them grow, I think that is our real advantage. And we're spending a lot of time thinking about that.
And what are some of what are the trends you're following most closely today?
I think I always hate to go negative, but certainly fraud. I think that's something that we've all got to be very, very focused on, both from a consumer as well as from a merchant perspective. So we have to stay ahead of that. It's also important as we think about bringing new products and services to market. There's a lot of value that we can add to our customers as well, helping them understand, what do they need to be worried about. We want to always talk about the positive. But as a financial institution, it's also up to our responsibility to help them understand these are the things that you should be thinking about and looking at.
And final question, if you could change one thing about the payments industry, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you change about it?
I do think there's a complexity to the industry that is often difficult for our customers, as well as for all of us to really figure out how do we navigate. So I think really just making sure we're all aware of what roles do we all play, because we all have, there's so much that we're doing in the industry to drive it forward. But I think really making sure I always think about it from a customer perspective. So how do we simplify a very complex industry for them, I think is what I'm very focused on. And if I could, wave a magic wand, it would be to make it simpler. So that from a customer perspective, they understand who they're dealing with, and then what value is everybody in the chain bringing.
So this has been Julie Pukas, the head of commercial product integration at TD Bank. Thank you for being with us today, Julie.
Thank you, Derek. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for watching. For more great conversations with CardFlight, be sure to follow CardFlight on YouTube, Twitter, or LinkedIn.